Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sayyida Alina Abdul and I'm a foundation level student in Rehan School. So today I'm doing my AI session with Maya. I'm going to ask some questions from Maya and she have to give me answers. So let's start. Hi Maya, how are you doing?
Walaikum assalam. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm ready when you are. What's the
Okay.
first question on the list?
So my first question from you is
I'm
what
listening.
is Earth?
Earth is our home, the third planet from the sun in our solar system. It's the only place we know of so far that's actually got life, mostly because it's in that perfect Goldilocks zone where it's not too hot, not too cold for liquid water to exist. Pretty wild when you think about it, right?
Yes. So my next question from you is how old is the Earth?
Earth is about 4.54 billion years old. It's a massive number to wrap your head around, but scientists figured it out by looking at the oldest rocks and the meteorites that crashed into us from the early days of the solar system.
Okay, so can you tell me what shape is the Earth?
Earth is a sphere, but not a perfect one. It's actually an oblate spheroid, which is a fancy way of saying it's slightly squashed at the top and bottom and bulges a bit at the equator because it's spinning so fast. It's basically a slightly plump planet.
Okay, so can you tell me what are the main layers of the Earth?
Earth has three main layers. There's the crust, which is the thin outer shell we live on, the mantle, which is a thick layer of hot semi solid rock, and the core, which is the center of the planet, made mostly of iron and nickel. It's like a giant rocky onion.
Okay, so can you tell me what is atmosphere?
The atmosphere is the layer of gases that surrounds the Earth. Think of it as a giant invisible blanket that keeps us warm, protects us from the sun's harsh radiation, and gives us the oxygen we need to breathe. Without it, we'd basically be living on a giant frozen rock in space.
Okay, so can you tell me why is Earth called the blue planet?
It's called the blue planet because most of its surface is covered in water. About 71% of the Earth is ocean, so when astronauts look at it from space, that's the dominant color they see. It's kind of like the planet's signature look.
Okay, so can you tell me what percentage of Earth is covered by water?
About 71%. It's a vast majority of the surface, leaving only about 29% for the land we actually walk on.
Yeah, so can you tell me what is land made of?
I'm not quite sure I caught that. Did you mean
Okay,
what something else is made? No worries.
no,
I'm still here.
my
What's the next
question from
question?
you is what is the land made up of?
Land is mostly made of rock and minerals. It's primarily composed of a variety of minerals like silica and aluminum, which then break down over thousands of years into soil, which is where all our plants grow. Basically,
Okay,
the surface we're standing on is just a giant puzzle of tectonic plates floating on that hot mantle we talked about earlier.
okay, so can you tell me what are continents?
Continents are the massive continuous land masses on Earth's surface. There are seven of them: Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. They've actually
Okay,
shifted around over millions of years, almost like a slow motion dance across the planet.
okay, so can you tell me what is a tectonic plate?
Tectonic plates are like giant, jagged puzzle pieces that make up the Earth's outer shell. They're essentially massive slabs of the crust and the very top of the mantle that are constantly, very slowly sliding around on the hot semi liquid rock underneath them. When they bump into each other or pull apart, that's when we get things like earthquakes, volcanoes, and mountains.
Okay, so can you tell me what causes volcanoes?
Volcanoes happen when magma, which is basically molten rock from deep inside the earth, finds a way to push through the crust. It usually happens at the boundaries where those tectonic plates we mentioned are either pulling apart or one is sliding under another. The pressure builds up until it just can't hold anymore, and then boom, it erupts. It's basically the Earth letting off some steam.
Okay, so can you tell me what is the hydrosphere?
The hydrosphere is just a fancy name for all the water on Earth. That includes everything: the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, the glaciers, and even the water vapor in the air. It's
Okay,
basically every single drop of water on the planet all linked together in one giant system.
so can you tell me what is the biosphere?
The biosphere is the global sum of all ecosystems. It's basically the thin layer of Earth where life actually exists, everything from the
Okay,
deepest parts of the ocean to the highest mountain peaks. If
so
the
can you tell
hydrosphere
me
is the water in that,
what makes
I'm
Earth suitable
listening.
for life?
A few things come together to make it work. First, we've got liquid water, which is essential for every living thing. Then there's our atmosphere, which gives us oxygen and protects us from space radiation. And of course, the right distance from the sun, not too hot, not too cold, keeps everything in a steady balance. It's like the planet hit the cosmic lottery.
So can you tell me what is gravity?
Gravity is the invisible force that pulls objects toward each other. For us, it's what keeps our feet on the ground and prevents the atmosphere from floating away into space. Basically, the
Oh,
more mass
nice.
something has, the stronger its pull, which is why the Earth pulls on us. But we don't exactly pull the Earth toward us.
So can you tell me how was Earth formed?
Earth started out as a giant cloud of dust and gas about 4.5 billion years ago. Gravity pulled all that stuff together, and as it crashed and clumped, it got incredibly hot and started spinning, eventually cooling down and forming the crust we walk on today. It's a pretty chaotic way to start a planet, don't you think?
So can you tell me what is the Big Bang theory?
Hmm. The Big Bang Theory is the leading explanation for how the entire universe began. It suggests that everything, all the matter, energy, space, and even time, started as a single, incredibly dense and hot point called a singularity, which then expanded rapidly and exploded outward in every direction. It wasn't really an explosion in the way we think of a bomb, but more like a sudden, massive stretching of space itself. No,
Okay,
it's
so
the
can you
universe
tell
is
me
still.
what is the solar system?
Solar system is basically our little neighborhood in space. It's made up of our sun at the center with everything else orbiting around it, the 8 planets, their moons, dwarf planets like Pluto, and a whole lot of asteroids and comets. It's all
Okay,
held together
so
by
can
the
you tell
sun's.
me what are the early stages of Earth formation called?
The early stages were all about building the foundation for a planet that could actually support life. It started with that massive cloud of gas and dust colliding and clumping together, which created a molten, glowing ball of rock. Then, as it cooled, a heavier material sank to the center to form the core, while the lighter stuff floated to the top to form the crust. It was basically a long, messy process of settling in before the world as we know it could even exist.
Okay, so can you
I'm
tell
still
me
here. I'm all
what was
ears.
Earth like billion of years ago?
A billion of years ago, Earth was basically a nightmare scenario. It was a molten, glowing ball of rock with oceans of lava and a sky filled with thick, toxic gases. There were no trees, no animals, and definitely no oxygen to breathe. It was just a chaotic, burning mess of volcanic eruptions and asteroid impacts. Imagine the same planet we live on
So,
now, but if it were an oven set to maximum heat.
so can you tell me how did ocean form?
The oceans form from a mix of two things: volcanic activity and comets. While the Earth was cooling down, volcanoes were pumping out massive amounts of water vapor into the atmosphere. At the same time, icy comets and asteroids from outer space were slamming into the planet, bringing even more water with them. Eventually, it got Cool enough for all that vapor to condense and fall as rain, and it didn't just drizzle, it rained for thousands of years, filling up the low spots of the crust to create the oceans. Imagine the biggest rainstorm you can possibly imagine, then multiply it by a million.
Okay, so can you tell me how did the atmosphere develop?
The atmosphere didn't just appear overnight, it evolved in stages. First, volcanoes released a ton of gases like carbon dioxide and nitrogen, creating a thick, toxic layer. Then, as the first tiny organisms appeared in the oceans, they started producing oxygen through photosynthesis. Over millions of years, that oxygen built up, eventually transforming the sky into the breathable air we have today. It was basically the planet's way of slowly cleaning its own room.
Okay, so can you tell me what were the first living organisms?
The first living things were incredibly simple single celled organisms called prokaryotes. They were basically tiny, microscopic bubbles of genetic material floating in the ocean with no nucleus to hold their DNA. Most of these early life forms were anaerobic, meaning they didn't need oxygen to survive, which makes sense since there wasn't any in the air back then. It's kind of wild to think that everything we see today, from the smallest bug to the biggest whale, started as these tiny little specks in the sea.
Okay, so can you tell me what are fossils?
Fossils are the preserved remains or traces of ancient life. Think of them as nature's own time capsules. They could be something obvious like a dinosaur bone or a shell, but they can also be things like footprints, burrows, or even ancient pollen trapped in amber. They give us a glimpse into what lived on Earth millions of years ago and how the world has changed since then.
Okay, so can you tell me what is evolution?
Evolution is the process by which different kinds of living organisms developed and diversified from earlier forms during the history of the Earth. Basically, it's the idea that species change over time to better fit their environment. If a trait helps a creature survive and have babies, that trait gets passed down to the next generation. And over millions of years, those small changes add up to create entirely new species. It's like a never ending game of adaptation.
Okay, so can you tell me what is the ice age?
An ice age is a long period of time where Earth's temperature drops significantly and huge sheets of ice called glaciers cover massive parts of the land. It's not just one single event, but a cycle that's happened several times throughout history. During these times,
Okay,
sea levels drop because so much water is trapped in the ice, and the landscape gets completely reshaped by the moving glaciers. It's basically the planet going
okay,
through a massive deep freeze.
okay. So can you tell me how have continents moved over time?
The continents move because of those tectonic plates we talked about earlier. They're constantly sliding around on the mantle, which means the land masses they're attached to shift too. Millions of years ago, all the continents were actually clumped together in one giant supercontinent called Pangea. Over
Okay, so
time,
can
it
you tell me
slowly.
what is Pangea?
I think you mean Pangea. That was that
Yeah,
giant supercontinent I just mentioned.
yes,
Millions of
yes.
years ago, every single of land we know today was all joined together in one massive block. It's almost like the world had one giant island before it decided to split up and move to different corners of the globe. Pretty fascinating, right?
Okay, so can you tell me how has Earth changed over millions of years?
Earth has gone through a complete makeover, really. It started as a molten ball of lava, cooled down to form oceans and a solid crust, and then slowly filled up with life, starting with tiny microbes and eventually leading to dinosaurs and then us. The continents have drifted, the atmosphere has shifted from toxic to breathable, and we've even had several ice ages that froze everything over. It's basically a story of constant dramatic change.
Okay. So Maya, I'm starting the rapid fire round and you have to give me short answer, okay,
I'm ready.
of every question. So let's
Locked
start.
in.
My first question from you is how old is Earth?
About 454 billion years old.
What is the shape of the Earth?
An oblate spheroid.
Hottest layer of the Earth?
The core.
Liquid layer inside Earth?
The outer core.
Gas layer around Earth?
What? I'm intrigued. What is it?
I don't know. Whenever I know, I will tell you. So my next question from you: largest continent,
Asia.
smallest continent.
Australia.
What causes earthquakes?
Tectonic plate movements.
Wearing away of land called
Erosion.
breaking down of rocks called
Actually, that's weathering. Erosion is what happens after that when the broken pieces are actually moved away by wind or water.
molten rocks under surface.
Magma.
Cutting trees is called
Not quite sure what you mean by cutting piece. Could you rephrase
cutting
that for me?
trees. Cutting trees.
I'm still. Mm,
I mean,
I'm
what
still
does
a bit lost.
cutting trees called?
I'm still struggling to place that one.
Okay,
Are you
so my
thinking of a
next,
specific geological term?
I'm
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 ready for the next
asking
one.
about deforestation.
Deforestation is when forests are cleared on a massive scale. Usually it's for farming, logging, or making room for cities. It's basically the opposite of the biosphere growing
So I'm going to ask you some last questions. Why study Earth history?
because it's the only way to understand how we got here. By
Okay.
looking at the past, we can predict how the planet might change in the future and learn how to protect it.
Okay,
It's
Maya.
basically like reading your Earth's diary.
So my last question from you, and the most interesting one, word to describe Earth.
Resilient. It survived everything from molten lava and asteroid impacts to ice ages and massive shifts in its own crust, yet it always finds a way to bloom and support life. It's a real survivor.
Okay, Maya, thank you so much. So, viewers, this was my AI session with Maya on the topic of Earth. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Allah Hafiz. This is Aleen Abdul and Pakistan Zindabad.
Allah Hafiz, Alina.